Hello, beautiful people. This is Dr. Dane. Nice to be with you from a beautiful El Lugar Resort in Costa Rica. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, what is an infinite being? I'm like, it's infinite. Well, which means really, 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 really big, right? But what the heck does that mean in our lives? What does that have to do with anything that we're currently living, and how do we actually use it on our behalf? So I had a friend who does access consciousness, and one day we were talking about infinite being and something, and she said, I think I'm totally being an infinite being. And I looked at it, I was like, really? Tell me more. She's all, well, I do a lot less judgment, and I'm creating a lot of stuff, and I believe in miracles. And I'm like, okay. I said, let me. There's a lot more. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, well, could you imagine yourself being the size of a planet? And she went, what? I'm like, okay, so imagine right now you are the entire Earth and everything on it. What? I'm like, well, okay, that's a tiny bit of infinite. Infinite means the whole universe. That's incomprehensible. So first we need to recognize that infinite being is not a concept that we can comprehend. It is truly incomprehensible, which is cool, because isn't it nice that there are some things in the world that are totally incomprehensible? So then how do we use it? Well, we can use it by asking and seeing, does what I'm currently choosing, for example, would an infinite being truly choose this? That's one great way, is asking that question, would an infinite being truly choose this? Because if an infinite being wouldn't, that means you have other choices available. So if you look at your job and you go, would an infinite being truly choose this? And you're like, hell no. Well then, start looking for another one. Ask some questions like, okay, what's it going to take to change this into something that an infinite being would choose? What's it going to take to change this into something that I would like? What's it going to take? Like questions like that. And that's the other thing about an infinite being, is an infinite being wouldn't come to conclusion. The conclusion is far too small. An infinite being would function from question. So I continued the conversation with her and I said, so could you imagine being a supernova? And she went, they're really big and powerful. I'm like, I know, but it's still one tiny speck of the universe. It took me a few examples, and she looked and went, oh, I've concluded that I have this infinite being thing right. And I went, yeah, that. And it's our conclusion that keeps us from being as infinite as we could be. And so anytime we come to a conclusion, we're taking an entire universe of possibilities and probabilities and choices and confining it down to one point, which is where the word point of view comes from. And so when we're taking any fixed point of view, once again, we're taking the entire universe of possibilities and saying, this is real, this is true, this is good, this is bad, whatever it is. And it's interesting, because as I say that, you might get a different sense where you're like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. Like, why would I do that? Like, why would I knowingly choose to go from having infinite choice and infinite possibilities, really, really big, one with the universe, as it were, to this, just because that's what I've learned and that's what everybody else does and that's what I thought I had to do. So everywhere you thought you had to, because that's what you've learned and that's what everybody else does, will you destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, povats, and beyonds. So this idea of being infinite is we use it as an acknowledgement, and then we use it as a way of seeing if what we're currently choosing is as big as what we could. And if it's not that, okay, well, now I instantly am going to choose something different. It's, okay, I have other choices. Now let me explore that direction. Let me explore a larger space. Let me explore a larger set of choices, or a larger, not even a set of choices, but a larger universe of choices and possibilities. And then from there, so the other thing that the idea of infinite being gives you is it is a pattern interrupt in a sense based on awareness. It uses what is to break apart what is not. By the way, look at this tree. Oh my goodness, I love that tree. It's so beautiful. Anyway, infinite beings get distracted, apparently. There you go. See, and that's funny because I in no way think I'm being an infinite being. Like, I mean, I'm got way more than I did many years ago, but there's no way. If an infinite being would be able to just wiggle their fingers and actualize anything, make anything show up. So I'm willing, or at least I'm desiring, I'm asking what's going to take, but in no way do I think, I am infinite. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Dr. Dane here. I'm infinite. No. But anyway, so the other thing that this does for us, sorry, that was ADHD. The other thing that this does for us is it gives us a different perspective, one in which we are not just our bodies. Because a lot of people go around thinking they are their body, but if you have this idea of infinite being, what that means is you have being and body. So I'm going to walk you through a really quick exercise right now. So right now, expand out, let's say 100 feet in all directions. Okay, you can close your eyes or keep them open, it doesn't matter. Okay, now expand out, let's say a mile, or roughly 1.6 kilometers. Let's say 2 kilometers. You're welcome. In all directions. And just do it. Now, a lot of us have been taught we need to visualize and blah, blah. But really all you do is go, oh, like you just go from thinking you're this to knowing you're that big. So now expand out 100 kilometers or 100 miles in all directions. And notice what that space is like. Now expand out 1,000 miles or 1,000 kilometers in all directions. Notice what that space is like. Okay, now expand out 100,000 kilometers in all directions. Or 100,000 miles. I mean, once you get out there, miles, kilometers, whatever, it's just really big, right? Well, could a being that big fit inside of a body this small? No. So in actuality, your body is inside of you. What does that mean? Once again, on a practical level, because some of this stuff is great energetically, and it's like, wow, this is so cool, it's so great energetically, but my question always is, okay, how is it pragmatically? What do I do with it? You know what I mean? Because it's wonderful to have these energetic explorations. I love that, but it's got to be pragmatic in your life. Otherwise, it doesn't do what it could. So what do you do with this? You realize that as a being, you have way more energy than just what is in the container of your body. As a being, if you start to get this concept of infinite being, you start to recognize that you quite literally, even though people will not understand it, and scientists will tell you I'm cray-cray, except the quantum physicists, and then they'll probably still tell you I'm cray-cray, but that's okay. I'm happier than most of them anyway. Just don't tell them. Don't send them this video. They won't be happy that I said that. But what you have is literally the ability to be in communion with every molecule in the universe. See, we live from a fundamental, dynamically huge lie in this world that we live in. One of the rules of reality is that of relationship and relating as a necessity. Now, relationship by definition is the distance or the way in which two objects relate. If there is such a thing as relating or relationship, then what that means by the very definition of that, two objects cannot occupy the same space, which means there is no such thing as oneness. And the laws of physics hold up until you get to quantum mechanics, and then all that shit falls apart. So, the more they start exploring quantum physics, and the more they start opening their worlds to a universe of possibilities, it starts approximating what we talk about in consciousness, which is where oneness can be a living, waking, breathing experience of the world. Whoa. So, we just went from 0 to whoo! And so one of the recognitions of that is that the whole idea of infinite being is, because if you look at it, your mind would initially go, well, if I'm an infinite being, well, how are there any other infinite beings? Because two beings can't occupy the same space. Yeah, I would beg to differ. I think our sense of space is skewed. I think our sense of reality is dynamically limited from what it actually could be. And my sense is we can be in communion with every single molecule in the entire universe. I mean, what's it like when you go out in nature? You notice how your space expands, your thinking usually diminishes, your gratitude increases, your sense of connection with everything increases. And you have a sense, after you're out there for a while, you start noticing things you didn't notice at all. Well, that's your awareness. That's also that sense of communion with the things that are out there, because there is no element of nature that will reject you. There's no element of nature that will judge you. There's no element of nature that will reject receiving any part of you. So if you walk by a tree, the tree's like, hi. You know, you might think you're the worst pile of shit in the world, but the tree doesn't, which is kind of refreshing, by the way. And neither do the plants, and neither do the birds, and neither do the animals, all the rest of the animals, and neither do the insects. And then you start to realize, wow, the only thing that's judging on this planet is people. And you look at that and you're like, we think that makes us superior to the animals. And yet, no matter what happens, the animals are always thriving and surviving and choosing for greater. So basically, if we're going to be the infinite beings we actually are, it opens the door for us to live beyond the necessity of judgment, beyond the necessity of right, beyond the necessity of wrong, beyond the necessity of need, and beyond the necessity of separation. So functioning as an infinite being, even functioning more and more as an infinite being, let's say, gives us access to a space of being alive. And one other thing that we don't often talk about, which is miraculousness, where things can show up in a totally different way than we imagine, because we're not excluding the possibilities with our point of view and our judgments, which really is a sense of letting the universe do what it does best, which is fulfill our requests in ways we can't even imagine. So, consider yourself warmly invited to be an infinite being. Consider yourself warmly invited to at least explore the idea and the possibility. And hopefully, if nothing else, this has been a bit of a food for thought video for you, or food for pondering, or food for possibilities, because what's true always makes you lighter, and a lie always makes you heavier. So feel free to only take the parts of this video that made you lighter. And if some of this confused you, that's because there's something in here that contradicts something that you decided was true a while ago, and it's kind of pinging you so that you'll pay attention to it. So you could just ask, what part of this is true for me and what part isn't? Take the part that's true for you and leave the rest, like an infinite being would. All right, beautiful you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been a contribution. And I look forward to seeing you in person someday and giving you a really big hug with my body and your body, acknowledging your being, getting closer to being infinite every day. Okay, bye-bye.